Hello everyone, this is Chris from ChrisTrains, and this is a short video just to show you some of the features of the modernized VIRMm model, which is coming soon. Let's deal with the first question straight off the bat. The first thing everyone's going to want to know is, will this be a free update? Yes, it will. When you get the updated VIRMm model, this guy in the background here, the VIRMm modernized will come with it. So if you already have the VIRMm modernized will come with the update. If that's all you wanted to know, thank you for watching. For the rest of you, stick around. Obviously the first thing you'll notice between the two trains, the newer train has a much more, a warmer colour in the yellow on the train. And the blue paint goes around the doors and down to the bottom deck. In the old train, the blue paint just went to the upper deck, and it had a slightly more faded yellow colour. Obviously it's not just a repaint that I've done here. That would be less than I think you would expect from me, so I've done a lot of other changes to the model. So if we look over here on the old model, the configuration of the aerials on top of the cab has changed for the new model. The coupler has changed as well. The old coupler was okay when I first built it. This model is nearly 5 years old now. The new coupler has a lot more detail in it. I just think it looks much nicer. Other places where I've added detail, in the original model you'll see, or you'll remember maybe, the rubber around the windows and the door panel lines here. These were all painted into the original texture of the train. I've done those as stencil textures now, so you can see the doors and the windows have a much smoother, a much higher resolution look to them. I've also put the rain gutter over the driver's door here. You see it was missing on the original train. And finally at the front here you can see the train number is down here on the front. Was missing on the original train at the back there. There was a member on one of the forums who pointed out that there was a sticker over the driver's door, so yeah, I put that in the train as well. Other places where things have changed in the geometry, if you remember, the old train just had a big gap on the top here. This is historically where the pantograph used to be when these trains were their very first version, which was the DD VIRMm. They used to have a pantograph on the front and back. Then they brought out the VIRMm, which was the lengthened version where they put the pantographs on the power car in the middle. And the VIRMm, the modernized version of this train, the power car still has the pantographs in the middle, but they've put an aerodynamic cover over this section here. Other places you'll notice a difference. Things like these ventilators here on the new train, I did a much higher resolution texture for those. So originally they were just painted into the main texture, so I've taken those out and given them a higher definition look. The equipment chests, you find these on the end cars and the power cars. Again, these used to be painted into the texture, these lines, and the door handles were painted into the texture as well. That's all been modified, so you'll see now we've got a much nicer looking side of the train here, and these handles are actually three-dimensional now. They're actually recessed into the train like they should be. The new train has split windows in some places that can be opened, so I've put those in. I've also put these decals on the windows. I'm not sure if the NS even know if they're going to keep these or not. The idea was that these denoted that the top deck was for people to study and work and listen to music, and the bottom deck was for just socializing and chatting with people. I've seen photographs of the VIRMm with and without these. When I was in Holland a couple of months ago, I took pictures of one that had these, so I've put them in. I can take them out eventually if I have to, but I thought they looked kind of nice like this. The inside of the wagons has been reconfigured, so the new train has, in the downstairs of these wagons, they have this little couch in the corner here, this public seating area. The glass doors have moved. There's a luggage storage area here. That's all changed from the old model. And I also fixed a really, it's a detail problem, but it was something that annoyed me in the old model. So this was what I had as the balcony area in the old model. You could almost imagine falling off the stairs and ending up down here. That's not how it is in the real train. In the real train, there is an area in the middle here between the stairs, which I have now built. It looks a lot more like the real train. And this is one of those detail things I've wanted to fix, but you know, never really had the time. But now I'm doing the VIRMm modernized. I decided to finally correct that. So basically the whole of the inside of this carriage, all of the chairs, all of the seats, the glass interiors, this has all been rebuilt from scratch. This is all brand new geometry. This is not just a repaint. Other places things have changed, just simple things like the position of the window stickers. You can see here on the old train they were down low, on the new one they're up high. For those of you that are particularly interested in toilets, the old train, I just did a really simple bioreactor underneath here. It was, you know, just a box. In the new version, I've put a lot more detail into this. You can see here, bioreactor has a lot more detail. I've also added more detail in this whole area underneath with these pipes around the couplings and everything. I just thought the old model looked a little bit bare. It didn't have enough information down there for me, so I've added all this extra stuff to the new model. Let me just look through my list. I've done so many changes to this, I have to look at my own release notes to remember everything I've done. Let's see. Oh yeah, other places where things have changed in geometry from texture. The top of the old train, the ribs that used to run up and down the roof of the train, these were done in texture before. These guys are now done in geometry, so you can see they're 3D, just for a little bit more detail there. If I hop into the cab, let me just sit, so I'm controlling the train. I've added parking brakes, and for the VIRMm modernized, I have made it so the parking brakes activate the track brakes, these magnetic brakes here as well. One of the things that I was asked for from the original train was to fix some of the problems in the cab, so let's have a look. This is the old cab, so it has the older style GSM-R radio in it. If we go and look in the new cab over here, I have put the new radio inside. Other things that I fixed, and I fixed these in both versions of the train because it was relatively easy to fix them in the old version without making too many changes to the model. So for example, the pantograph switch is now a toggle switch. It returns to the middle each time. That's how it is in the real train. The headlight switch, the logic works. You can actually flick them up and down with the mouse. It doesn't fight you anymore. The windshield washer and wiper switches, they have the little pop-up label now that tells you what they are. That was missing before. In the modernized version, you can turn this screen off now just using this button here. That's only in the modernized version. In both versions, I fixed this. The zero position for this needle always used to be over here. It was a problem in the animation. That's been fixed now, so the zero position for the needle is straight up. And the behavior of this needle is a lot smoother than it used to be. The other change that I've made that people asked for, the brake lever has notches in it, and so does the throttle lever. And finally in the cab, let me just hop back to the other cab and show you. These are tiny, tiny little things that just irritated me that I had to fix. I always thought this looked a little bit low resolution, and I really hated these screws that I put into the original model. It's a tiny, tiny little detail, but what I've done in the new model, I've made this texture look a lot higher resolution. It looks a lot nicer, and then the screws I've done higher resolution as well. It's just a detail thing. It was one of those things in the original model that I knew I had to fix at some point, and this seemed like as good a time as any to fix it. There are two versions of the VIRMm modernized. There is the 4-wagon version over here, and the 6-wagon version over here. All of the carriage interiors are new on all of these. It's all new geometry and new textures, same on the 4-wagon version. I've fixed other problems that you might not have noticed, but for example, This window shouldn't be here. It's still there in the old train. I took it out in the new train. A lot of these changes are only in the VIRMm modernized. This was a deliberate decision for me to be able to release this again with some amount of time. Editing the old files is difficult. It was done in a really old version of 3D Studio Max. It's much easier for me to convert those and work on them as a new model, and I just wanted to take the time to build the VIRMm modernized as a new model with all of these extra features in. So some of the changes do come to the old VIRMm. For example, the brake, that's fixed in the old model because I know people wanted that to be fixed, and also the throttle. But a lot of the other changes that we've looked at, you'll notice they didn't get altered in the old model. So really this update is a few functional changes to the old model and then both of the new VIRMm modernized. That was my objective here, was to get the modernized version of the train out so everyone could enjoy it. Again, the update is going to be free. Technically it's what I would call donationware. I will not charge anybody any money for the update. If you like it and you think that you'd like to give me €1 or €2 for it, I will put a link with the download or in the newsletter or in the update email or maybe on my page. And it's up to you. If you don't think it's worth anything, that's fine. I said the update will be free. If you think it's been worth some time, any donation would be gratefully accepted. I think I spent nearly as long modernizing this train in the virtual world as the real people did on the real train in the workshops. So hopefully you'll enjoy it when it comes out. It's due sometime in the next week or 2 weeks, I hope, from today, and today's date is October the 4th, 2017. So if you're watching this video after that date, you will already have all of these changes and fixes in the modernized version of the VIRMm. So that was everything I had to say, and hopefully you enjoyed that little video and you'll enjoy the modernized version of this train when it comes out. Thanks again for everyone who's a customer. None of this would really be worthwhile without you guys. So thanks, and until the next video.